Do. Well, it says it's live streaming. Yeah, I know it's over on another stream, but hey, this maybe this will get worked out in the back end. But until then, I'll just kind of hang out here and wait till all the rest of y'all decide to come in and just had some Fleetwood Mac going, Bare Trees, great album. So hope you dug the first one. Future Games, just good stuff. Hey, DC, good to see you, my friend. Bonnie, hello. Everyone's got it now. Yeah. Pearl, how are you, my dear? Good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody here in the United States. And for the rest of y'all, Robert V., how are you doing? Favor upon us all. I think the fact that we get a chance to come together, whether it's this channel or another channel, but sharing, like energy, doesn't necessarily have to be the same mind, but the energy is the same. That's favor. I mean, that's something to be thankful for right there. Zigzagzilla, how are you, my friend? Trust you're having a great day today, and thank you for being a part of my Thanksgiving. That's the way I see it. Jargo, how you doing? Big Al's email address is Cirillo, at gmail.com. So, yeah. Pearl says she's just chilling at the house with no bad vibes. Very cool place to be. Go, how are you? Go and friends. Okay, I like that. How you doing? So like I said, just hanging out here. Tom C., much love to you, brother. Good to see you. Trust you're having a fabulous day. Nothing missing, nothing broken. Favor abounding. Be of service to others. Isn't that what giving is, Thanksgiving? And man, just prosperity. Prosperity comes in many ways, doesn't it? Well, Jargo, you're welcome. Miss Trina, how are you, my dear? Good to see you, my love. And there is Lauren. Gender grin. I love that, Stu. That is so cool. So what else is happening? It's a day that most people have off. Well, again, in this country, I don't know what's the rest of the world's like. But chances are, if you're listening from another country, it's nighttime. So, yeah. So, what else? Rod, what's up? Good to see you. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Carol, good to see you as well. Having fun with this. So, let me see. There, it's 12 o'clock somewhere, right? Thank you, Trina. You are the sunshine as well of my life. There you go. I love that. So I got a question for everybody, just throwing out there with the context of the material we're covering, right? We've learned a lot of things here. So someone wrote me an email and said, what gives you the right or the understanding to teach on this subject? Hey, that's a fair question. I don't have a problem with that. But one thing I can tell you is that we cover a lot of stuff here on this channel. Been here over 8 years. We cover a lot of material. But talk about the Watchers. I mean, this is just a small sampling. This is the Watchers, the Fallen Angels. This is Joseph Lumpkin's book, The Fallen Angels, the Watchers, and the Origins of Evil. Folks, mankind did not create evil. We cannot be held in judgment or in any other aspect where evil is concerned. We didn't do it. It invaded, and therefore it's foreign. It's foreign to our nature. And of course, Ken Johnson's book, Fallen Angels. We know a lot because I've shared a lot of this. This is the book of Solomon's Magick. Powerful book. It's one that I still reference, and yeah, actually got this on PDF. Someone wanted to see what the book, The Lesser Keys of Solomon. This is a heavy one. This one comes with a real big, you best have your head in a good place. This one here is probably, of all the books in my library, besides the Liber Lilith, this one, yeah, it's right there at the top. If you really want to know how to conjure these beings, how to get them, there's just the imagery, if you understand the sigils and the language that goes with it. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. The angel cards that are now out, and everyone should have them by now. This is where it came from. This is where it all started. This is Damon Brand's book. Some controversy about it. I don't know. I found it to be informative. I found it to be creative in the aspect that, all right, let's just talk about these beings. What are they? What can they do for us? We talked about evil. The title of this one is, Did They Create Evil and Introduce It into Our Reality? Yeah. I mean, we didn't create it. We, as children of clay, they're trying to say that we were corrupt from the beginning. We were not. If we came from the earth, of which, modern day theology and dogma teaches that, dust to dust, dust you came from, dust you should go back to. It's clearly we're not the angels, but there's a lot of beliefs that believe we are. I don't have a problem with it. This is just another perspective on this. However, being that we are the children of clay, it's very obvious that evil came from heaven. It didn't come from us. We didn't know this shit. We were just happy hanging out in the garden, man, walking around at the nudist camp, smoking a bowl, having a martini. It was all cool. A lot of us may have been into gardening, because we have forgotten. And by the way, this is a great book for those who haven't. There's a story behind it, learning the great cosmic mother. It's, yeah. But we were just hanging out. You didn't have to worry about getting sunburnt because, everything was groovy. And then along came these creatures. And they screwed the whole thing up, and we got blamed for it. I mean, if you follow the story, in the book of Genesis, Adam probably, as they say in some cases, wasn't more than 7 hours old. Now, how you blame an entire species for something that, what does a 7-hour-old human do? What do they know? But anyway, and then they come down and then they send a group, which we're reading about now, that was supposedly supposed to protect us, right? They were supposed to help us, right? And what did those sons of bitches go and do? They got introduced to something that we apparently had. That was sex. Because what did the angels teach us about sex? All we do know is this angelic spirit beings come down. They come into our neighborhood, jacking with us and trying to steal from us, trying to become like us. We were just fine being us. But nope. These sons of bitches, they had to come in and screw it all up. So the thing about we have with the Watchers, Shazimza and the rest of the gang, having coitus relationships with male and female humans, it got me to thinking, well, now just to stay with me here. So how is the birth of Jesus any different from the acts that these fallen angels were doing? I mean, folks, well, wait, that's sacrilegious to talk about. No, it's exactly the thing that needs to be talked about. What happened here? So it's all right if this dude does it, but it ain't all right for those dudes that were made of this dude to do it. I mean, I'm just asking for a friend. I just kind of sitting here going, well, let's see. So some spirit, it says it's holy, comes upon this female, and any way you slice it and dice it, it just didn't, hey, Scotty, can you beam one sperm down into, I don't think that's how it happened. But nevertheless, it did happen. And what we're reading and what we have read over the years here is that these angelics, man, they got into the sex thing. I mean, they really did. And it is about sex. So then that brings the next question up. Then what class is this union of a god and a female? And what class does that put it in? Not human. Well, it's part human. Yeah, it gets into that weird stuff. So how is that any different with the Nephilim? I don't know. Thank you, Katrina. Yeah, smash the thumbs up. No, good and bad. They can technically choose to be good. You see, it's really interesting, the knowledge on that. And we're going to get right into it because this is one that it's deeply ingrained. I mean, the author of this document is right on. I've got books by, someone said the Nag Hammadi. What do you want me to do? I'd be more than happy to discuss it with you. It's still lacking. I got the pseudo-apocrypha. I've got the Septuagint Greek. Still, what has been sanctioned for the lower classes, that's you and I. That's how they see us. Well, we weren't entitled to know such information, because if you begin to say, all right, I don't agree with it, but just because you don't agree with it, don't ignore it. Why do you disagree? What part of you that is so ingrained that you think you absolutely know that that's the truth? Well, that's pretty shaky grounds to stand on. But that's just me. I love some of this. Zigzag Zillis, I was lifting weights with Jesus this morning. Love it. All right. So we know the subject matter. That's a given. So, and I thought it was interesting because there are some books that I have shared with all of you. This is one you should have in your library. It gives you an understanding of who Yahweh is, and to understand that if the story follows, they've sanitized the crime scene. They've had time to basically go back and say, you know what? Don't quite like that word or phrase. We're going to put this in there instead. No, if you really get into it, you begin to understand that this Yahweh character, he's a messed up hombre. That's all I can say. And as we're reading in his kingdom that he has created, I mean, I woke up 3:03 this morning. And this was the thought on my head. My wife, Lynn, told me, go back to sleep, would you? But I woke up thinking, wow. So we're supposed to, and we've been ingrained, indoctrinated in this, that this is God. God is perfect. No, not necessarily. If we're going to be honest, quite frankly, I think he skipped that course, because his actions, his whole being of creation is messed up. If it was supposed to have been perfect in the beginning, it is completely on any level of intelligence. Why would there be rebellion within perfection? But anyway, it's interesting, because we then, as a class of beings, children of clay, because remember, go and read the book. People say, well, I don't believe that. Well, that's cool. But the book says that we were formed from clay, dust, earth. Anyway, so Yahweh had a wife, Asherah. Well, then that would make her what? Our goddess mother, right? It would also then blow away the whole thing of Adam and Eve, because now you got to figure out, well, who is Ashroth? Have you ever studied about her? Well, they've done a really good job of taking that out. So I digress. Good book to have in your library. And then, we'll get into this down the road a little bit, but we can't gloss over that we've read information that, check the sources out for yourself, but says that, hey, Mr. Spaceman, they ain't like us. Apparently, they don't have the same idea of a savior, although they like the idea of this unity thing. Apparently, they're searching for unity. Again, this is heavy reading, but if you go back and look at the series, The Liber Lilith, it certainly tells you about Lilith, because Lilith plays a huge role in this. If you're saying you don't believe in Lilith, then you don't believe in Eve. Very clear that there was something else going on before Eve came around. And my family namesake is attached to this book. This book has been dated in authenticity. Wow, it goes back to Origins. He had a copy of it when he was in Alexandria. We know what happened to Origins. It is said that after he had read this grimoire, the Liber Lilith, that he got up into where as I can see the scene, must have had the Library of Alexandria up there, but he's standing out here in this courtyard and castrates himself. Wow. Carl, his whole goal was, if Lilith is the mother goddess, and that she has been like the story of Moses, stricken from the record, and that which is being written about her shall always be in the negative, the worst of places. But anyway, digress on that. So, and this is another good one, the Dictionary of Deities and Demons in the Bible. And remember, these demons really didn't come about until the 1st century. And so then we pick up with where we are now. So we're into the second triad of the 3 classes, and these are virtues. So these angels, known as the shining ones, are the second choir in the second triad. Isn't it interesting as well that it's frequency, it's harmonics? The early teachings that I had of Lucifer, not Satan, Lucifer, was that he was a being, his internal structure was of a gold substance. They said that his breastplate that he had on was apparently beyond any human imagination, and that when he spoke with that of 10,000 angels. I was thinking, if you got 10,000 angelic singing, that means you've got 10,000 different frequencies, harmonic vibrations that are blending itself. That's a pretty powerful being. What was it in the movie Dune? A name can kill. Interesting. The power within them has become so great that it emanates from their being as a virtually blinding aura. This can be attributed to the fact that, unlike cherubims, thrones, and even denominations, they have not been able to come to terms with their vast abilities. Wow. They are unable to mask their powers or curtail their presence. Now, I'm drawn back to thinking about, what we've been told of exorcisms. I was taught by Lester Summerall that when a demon possesses a human, that they are made of a different substance, and that when they begin to feel the 5 physical senses, they are unaccustomed to those senses. And that's why the body has such, in many cases, a violent reaction to their presence. Someone needed to hear that, just sharing a little bit from, if you know who Lester Summerall is, then you know from where I'm coming from. These great angels are often the heroes of mankind, for they perform miracles like no others. Well, I think we'd like to get to know them. We have. They are sent to earth to complete the most daunting of tasks and to demonstrate without subtlety the power of the Almighty. Many of mankind's greatest miracles have been performed by these children of fire, who can sometimes get a bit caught up in the extravagance of such deeds. Key word there, that word extravagance. Wow. That tells me from a layman that you get into a good vibe with one of these beings, and good stuff is going to be happening, man. I mean, apparently they dig it. They dig it a lot. Makes you think, why is it that there is some people that without thought or effort can be in situations that we would otherwise say they were lucky? Oh, they were just fortunate to be in the right place at the right time. True, but I have a feeling there may have been something more to that. Does God play favorites? Hell yes, he does. Apparently, so do angels. The virtues also lead a myriad of lesser angels in large campaigns. They lead great battles against demons and other unholy emanations. Well, folks, as the bus is continuing down here, I feel like, I'm in the loudspeaker. Let's talk about this one. Okay, we know about the demons, right? Got that. But what the hell are these other unholy emanations? That's substance. That's other things. I don't like when you get ambiguous into saying, well, what other unholy things are we talking about here? And who in the hell is defining unholy? Well, we know where the context of this is based on. All right. Just like the emanations above them, the virtues are not bestowed with an unwavering character like the choirs of the first triad. They can be strong-willed and obstinate. I mean, these things, I mean, where are they getting? We think that these are human emotions. Obviously, they're not. But yet, as a human, because we have to deal with emotions all the time, I'm looking at this going, So what's this thing with this emotion business? I mean, if an angel can be swayed or a demon by emotions, wow, don't we define that as the soul? I didn't think that these beings had souls. I'm just putting out there. Yeah. Many, having realized the great power within them, have succumbed to the sin of pride. Oh. Well, wouldn't worship be the ultimate sin of pride? Just asking for a friend. I mean, come on. They are often faulted for their overzealous and unnecessary use of power. Some would rather douse a candle with an ocean than a few drops of water. Holy crap. The thing that you get right here is like, well, I mean, come on. I mean, all it was a little spark. You didn't have to put the whole freaking ocean. Yeah. Wow. Along with his duties as Prince of the Thrones, Raphael also serves as leader to this lesser choir. Wow. Though their members are not as powerful as his other charges, the virtues provide far more headaches for this great angel. They need constant watching and correction. Time out. So help me out here. I mean, by reading this and understand this is the game, the Children of Fire, role-playing, but you have to have the foundation and you have to have the structure. So the research in here is saying they need constant watching and correction. Well, isn't that sin? Or are you telling me that there can be a mistake made and it not be sinful? What's the difference between a mistake that is sinful and a mistake that isn't? Because if it's the same, well, then these beings don't appear to be perfect. And I'm not getting how come they ain't got that sin thing too. Do they need a savior? Do they need saving? Weird. All right, the next group, the powers, are the lowest choir of the second triad, and they are among the most intriguing of all celestials. They seem to be ever embroiled in a struggle between good and evil inside themselves. What? When Samuel fell and the third of the heavens host went with him, it was the choir of powers who had the greatest loss of members. The attrition rate apparently was noticeable. Now risen to a rank loftier than the first triad, these angels have been given increasing powers by the Almighty and access to the heretofore forbidden sections of heaven. Well, there you go. So you got places in heaven that if you don't have the right code, you ain't getting in. And then it begs to ask, okay, so this Almighty, what's he doing giving out increasing powers to a group that already has proven themselves untrustworthy? I don't know. Says these new gifts come with a price. Doesn't it always come with a price? And that price is the struggle to reconcile themselves with the concepts of good and evil. Well, aren't you happy to know that you're in this boat not alone? Because not only do we, children of clay, wrestle with this concept of good and evil, it appears so do the angelics. I mean, the question I had as I put in there, I said, intelligence. Okay, I can get that. Everybody has intelligence to some degree. But how smart are they? I mean, it would seem that these creatures, these beings, they ain't all that bright. I mean, even with the knowledge they have, they seem to constantly screw up. And somehow or another, we're supposed to be carrying this burden of this thing called sin. I don't think so. Again, they came into our hood. If there's reparations to be made, it's them owing us. Big time, by the way. Says the powers reside in the borderland between the first and third heavens. Here, they serve a twofold purpose. Firstly, they are meant to stop the demons from completely overrunning the earth. Okay. Now remember, this is already a group that has shown not to be actually trustworthy or really bright. Okay. Are you feeling really confident now? Though they stop many, some demons sneak through to wreak havoc among the children of clay. And then that becomes our fault again. Second, the powers act as guards to the higher halls of heaven. Well, apparently they ain't good at that either. Members of the first triad are forbidden to go beyond their homes in the lower heavens. Isn't it interesting that apparently these angelics have homes? I mean, is it, 2-story? Is it a ranch? What? But these are not the only task of the powers. They are often sent to Earth to fulfill special missions. Unfortunately, there's that word. I mean, if they just left it at special missions, right? They because you get the idea that if you're in special ops, we expect you to come back successful in this. Now, when you read the word unfortunately, you're going, okay, here it is. It is in this capacity that the children of clay sometimes corrupt them. Well, wait a minute. Who's the adult here? I mean, who's the superior in rank, intelligence, common sense? I don't know. Chief among them is Kamel. As their prince, he is a perfect example of the dualistic nature of these creatures. Wow, dualism is deep in this realm. He has faltered in his way on several occasions. Oh, really? But has always returned to the grace of God. Okay. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's like, they're supposed to have our backside, right? We're depending on, it's like, hey, we're just children of clay down here. but they can't get it right. Is that sin? I don't know. Whew. And always returns by the grace of God, the favor of God. So what's God up there and the scorekeeper going, let's forget this one. We'll give him a free pass. This is a mulligan. He is known among his kind as a powerful and capable leader who, nonetheless, can be indecisive and contradictory in nature. I mean, if you're in a war and in an intense battle, the last thing you want is your leader to be going, well, I'm not really sure what to do here. In one hand, I can do no. All right, well, let's talk about the principalities. I mean, it's obviously not going to get better here. I mean, the top is messed up. And this is the product of a perfect being in creating. I'm not questioning, its ability. Yeah, I guess I am, because I'm not getting this picture that everything is messed up. All right, let's see about these cats. The principalities are the highest choir in the third triad. Now, it's interesting because the Apostle Paul in the book of Ephesians wrote about these angels. Yeah. Those of you who have not read that part of the Bible, I can dig it. I'm just telling you, that's where I learned about them long time ago. And it was always something that, I would meditate on at work, was going, okay, who are these principalities? Who are these dominions? I mean, he speaks of it. And so Paul obviously had knowledge of the occult. Now, unfortunately, he didn't write a lot more about that. But for those of us studied in that, we understood that there was this whole other hierarchy. Well, now we know where it was coming from. It was actually coming from above. Wow. Woof. While their powers are slightly greater and their duties a bit broader, they are generally considered to be fairly equal to archangels, as will be explained in another section. Their grace is considerably higher than the two lower choirs, so they have favor of a higher nature. They do not, however, command their lesser brethren. As with the other two choirs of this triad, the principalities reside in the first heaven. This is the place that bridges the material world to the celestial one. These children of fire are generally not allowed to venture further into the heavens, though they occasionally find reason to wander into the second heaven. Now, if many of you read Paul's writings, now you know. The principalities, along with the two lesser choirs, spend most of their time in the material world. Hello, Madonna. They are the ones who deal with the day-to-day conflicts that mankind faces in its ultimate struggle between good and evil. Well, by the looks of things, evil is kicking our ass. Principalities find themselves constantly battling between purity and corruption. Only the most obedient, persistent, and faithful among them can ascend to the second triad, though this does not guarantee their latter loyalty. Most, however, fall far short of attaining this ascension. Wow. Is it any wonder that we struggle with ascension? I mean, in one hand, you look at this and you go, man, this is messed up. On the other hand, you're looking at, hey, except for a few things here and there, they're just like us. In fact, they're ones, and we know it, the Watchers, they taught us what? They taught us how to do weapons of war. They taught women how to paint their eyes and put on makeup. And, what? I often wonder, was one of them like Andy Warhol? I'm telling you right now, I think you would look great like, okay. Only the most, the prince of this choir is Nisroch. He rules his subjects with a light hand, preferring to go about his own business and not meddle in the affairs of other principalities. For this, he is a well-liked, if not well-revered leader. I can dig that. Kind of like, hands-off type guy. Say, listen, man, I gave you the position, gave you the power and the authority. Now do your thing, baby. It's cool. We have to remember this one. Nisroch. Okay, the Archangels. The choir of Archangels has two very different personas. Among the children of clay, Archangels are often seen as the greatest of all angels. This directly contradicts their actual position among the children of fire. To men, this title is used to refer to any celestial above the rank of angel. Most of the celestials they identify as archangels are, in fact, of a much higher ranks. Gabriel, Michael, being only two of a handful of examples. Within celestial society, archangels have little clout or status. They are only slightly elevated from the hordes of angels who swarm the earth. Wow. Hordes, I'm telling you. Their number is a quarter that of their lesser brethren, and their power only slightly more enhanced. The prince of this choir is Barbel. He is, however, a rather immemorable member of the celestial caste. Wow. Okay. Loving this story. So if you got the angel decks and you now think about this. All right. 2.3.10, the angels. This is the lowest choir of the celestial hierarchy. It is also the largest. At 215 million members, this choir contains more children of fire than all other choir combined. Their duties, though small in comparison to the greater celestials, keep them constantly busy in the material world. Now I got Sting in my head. Well, material world. Anyway, excuse me. Their powers are minuscule when compared with the highest choirs, but considerable when compared to the abilities of mortal men. These are faltering beings that have not and may never comprehend the nature of favor, of grace. Wow. Chew on that one, kids. They are individualistic and often egocentric. Only a small fraction of them will ever rise to a higher rank. Many more will lose all grace and walk the earth eternally separated from God. They didn't call them demons in here. These are angels. And those of you who are, with the paranormal equipment that I've gathered, the evidence that I have been able to see thus far, is it human that I'm looking at? Is it spirit? It may very well apparently be one of these angels who doesn't understand favor and apparently is an egomaniac. I could see why they would want a human to worship and call upon them. It would feed their ego, and it would give them, I guess, some sort of higher standing amongst their kind. Look how many humans that I have here before me. They call upon me. They say spells in my name. They ask me to do these things. And, think about it, folks. Their leader is Phaleg, who is, in fact, not an angel, but an archangel. It was felt that the burden of ruling so many needed to be placed on one who was more powerful than his subjects. For this reason, Phaleg, who is often overbearing and sometimes downright ruthless, was a perfect choice for this position. Though he is generally liked by his equals and elders, his subjects do nothing less than despise him. So I'm sitting here as a headhunter, and I'm looking at resumes, and I'm thinking to myself, could he really fit the job requirement? So if I just stop there and separate myself, then I'm going, well, this apparently wasn't how it was in the very beginning, because apparently there was what? No rebellion? So no position needed? I mean, you look at this, and we're depending on these creatures? Yikes. So we'll get into this and then we'll break out of here. The 9 celestial tomes. As the children of clay have their holy books, so too do the children of fire. In all, 9 books constitute this angelic scripture. These books are collectively referred to as the 9 celestial tomes. All angels have read them to some degree, and many zealots have spent centuries memorizing whole volumes. Of the 9 books, all but 2 were written by Metatron, wisest of all angels. He is the mouthpiece of the children of fire, and his words resonate through the hearts and minds of all his brethren. Though numerous copies of these holy books abound, the original versions are under the watchful eye of Metatron himself in the 7th heaven. Save for the Zephyr Rizel, none of these books has ever been seen by the children of clay. Chronicles. This was the first of the great tomes to be set down by the mighty seraph Metatron. It details the history of the children of fire, focusing primarily on the war in heaven when Samael and a third of the heavenly host fell. In vivid and lamenting tones, Metatron describes each battle of this war and how the sons of light drove the sons of darkness from the upper heavens. It also chronicles the individual angels whose contributions to these efforts were remarkable indeed, recounting their glorious acts of bravery. Here's part of the book. I tell the truth, dearest brethren. It was Raphael alone who cried over the wounds of every seraph and angel alike. His tears alone healed the grievous injuries of the sons of light and allowed us to go on fighting. That's Chronicles 3, apparently 19. Names. The tome actually consists of 2 separate books. One is the names of light, while the other is the names of darkness. These books contain the names of all the children of fire who have ever existed, both those who are in good standing and those who have fallen. Guess they didn't pay their dues, did they? You didn't pay your dues, damn it. Well, I'm sorry, you're not in good standing here. Along with their name, the celestials' rank, either in the celestial hierarchy or the hierarchy of hell, is included. Originally, these books were written by the Metatron, but over the passing eons, other angels have helped to keep them current. Wow. Though the book totals 3,103 pages and contains the names of over 400 million celestials. Holy crap. You can imagine what kind of book that is like? The task of updating is far from daunting. After all, there's very little movement among the hierarchies, and the destruction of the celestial is a virtual, unheard of event. Wow. The Book of Retributions. Only one of only two books not written by Metrodon, the Book of Retributions, was set down by the cherub Uriel. In its passages are contained the laws which govern the children of fire. In addition, Uriel has laid out what punishments befall those angels who transgress. These punishments differ according to the seriousness of the offense. Lastly, this book details the structure by which angels will be brought before Uriel and the validity of their charges determined. Woof. I just don't like that scene, man. I don't know what they do. I mean, mankind can do some pretty terrible things to us, but wow. All angels of retribution have a copy of this book with them at all times. They consult it constantly to determine whether an angel's actions warrant them being whisked off to the heavens for judgment before Uriel and his fearsome council. Celestials of other orders, however, despise the book more than they revere it. You folks, you got to love this stuff. I mean, again, think it as you may, but I just find it so curious as to this, the truth bombs. Boom, boom. Resolutions. This book, written by the seraph Metrodon, deals with the prophecy passed down from the Almighty to the wisest of his angels. So prophecy, there we go with this word. So apparently the future is set. It details in poetic and often vague language the judgment days of both the children of fire and the children of clay. It talks of a final war in heaven and how Samuel and his minions will be defeated once more. Well, if they were defeated once, then apparently they weren't defeated. I mean, if they came back, I mean, to do it again, in many respects, Resolutions is similar to the book of Revelations. And this is the one thing I found here, because it's not the book of Revelations, it's the book of Revelation found in the Bible. The primary difference comes in the emphasis on celestial events and the overall tone of the piece. Metrodon has intentionally made it both inspiring and motivating in an effort to rally the troops who must, in the end, fight and win this great war. Wow. Again, you know, I was meditating this morning and I don't want a part of this war. I mean, I really don't. It's obviously been going on long before I came on the scene, or at least it would seem. And quite frankly, it's their war. Leave me the hell out of it. You know, I don't want to get caught up in your rules and all your ways and your dogma and your religion and all your laws and what. I don't want to be a part of that. Y'all apparently can't seem to figure it out. And me being in the middle of it isn't going to help things at all. Woo! It says, behold, the dragon wakes, spreading his wings. The evil serpent launches into the sky, a third of the stars following in tow. Wow. Okay. A happy Thanksgiving, folks. Yeah. Promises. As with most of the other works, this too is authored by Metrodon. Here he writes about the obligations and responsibilities of the children of fire to both their own brethren and to the children of clay. It outlines correct behavior and thought as desired by the Almighty. Now, isn't it interesting? They use the word Almighty. They're not using God. They're not, it's the Almighty. I don't know what the Almighty is. Those who follow the paths of grace, of favor, and righteousness hold it up as a testament to their actions, while those who have fallen into disgrace ignore it completely. Wow. Here's an actual snippet out of this. It says, for the Lord charged us to look over the children of clay, so that at death their souls would be judged righteous, pure, so that the hands of the cursed one would not taint what God alone created. This task we should not take lightly. We should pursue this goal with utmost diligence. Kind of love this stuff, folks. I mean, I don't know where else you could go and actually just sit down and have a condensed, what I would call quality information from the volumes that had to be researched and compiled. The Sefer Razel, the book of the angel Razel. Two qualities make this book noteworthy. First, it is one of only two celestial tomes not written by the seraph Metrodon. As the name suggests, the angel Razel wrote it. Its second claim to fame is that it is the only one of the 9 holy books to have passed into the hands of humans. After completion of the work, Razel gave a copy to Adam, but the children of fire, being envious of this gesture, stole the book and cast it into the sea. God told Rehab to retrieve it from the depths and return it to Adam. Wow. And Madasha gestured many of the children of fire have failed to comprehend. As centuries passed, the book ended up in the hands of some of the most influential children of clay, including Enoch, Noah, Solomon. The book contains the inner workings of the celestial power and structure. Of primary importance are the comprehensive descriptions of angelic forces. It further explains how humans can mimic and control these powers. This book is slowly responsible for the development of sorcery among the children of clay, and a development that is very significant in light of the fact that some sorcerers can become so powerful they can contend with even the mightiest among the children of fire. For this reason, it is understandable that the angels did not want such a work to pass into the hands of man. I guess so. All right, good place to end it. I hope you're finding this. It is as much of an adventure as I am. It's fascinating. Again, it's just a role-playing game, but as is life, you have to know sometimes more of the rules than what we do. Red Herring Media, how are you, my dear? Yeah, it is. It's a fascinating book. I mean, I've studied angels, studied them for decades, ever since I saw one. And that one didn't have any wings. So I know, what did I see? Well, we'll get to that. But yeah, you got that right, dear. Red Herring Media says, this ain't right. Yeah, humans need breathing space to grow. And we don't need, and apparently it's very obvious they're here. I mean, I often wonder, okay, stay with me here before we go out. So this is Earth. Are we supposed to accept that in all the freaking universe that we can see with our telescopes and our mechanical eyes, that which we've mapped, that this is the only freaking place this crap is happening, that in all the other galaxies and all the other trillions of planets and stars, wherever life may thrive and grow, are you telling me we're the only sons of bitches that have to deal with this? I mean, no wonder they put us in quarantine. They got to say, those things are crazy, man. They're God, everything they done. It's crazy train there. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. Because if you take it to the next level of supposedly logic, I guess, something's messed up. And then you get into this whole passive aggressive, well, if you be good, we're going to reward you. If you be bad, we're going to punish you. That's enslavement. That's coercion. That isn't nothing more than training the monkeys to act appropriately. And apparently these monkeys go all the way up the chain, up to all the way into heaven. Holy crap. Those are my thoughts as we leave on this day of Thanksgiving. It's like, is it just everywhere? It can't be everywhere in this universe. I mean, so what the hell happened here? Is this of our own creation? Because it doesn't make sense that suddenly, because we step through a veil and we enter into another realm, another level of existence, of consciousness, that all this awaits us? Well, no wonder we're afraid of dying. If you knew that that kind of madness was waiting for you, hell yeah. Woo. All right. Robert, that's a good question. He says, how do we know that with so many angels and demons that they are not on all the worlds unless they are anchored here for a reason? Good question. I don't have the answer. I had a Bible teacher back in the day, and he was saying that because of the laws, mankind will never leave this solar system. This is not going to happen. We'll never have a spacecraft with humans in it that will be able to leave this solar system. Now, I think about Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. That's our creation. It's now in interstellar space. Okay? We know that the asteroid belt was a planet at one time. So, yeah, I mean, if it's so corrupt and so contaminated, why would the rest of the universe want this? Hello, Regina, how are you? Well, thank you, hon. So, I don't know, folks. These are just the things that I think about, because the eventuality of all reality is that we're all going to end up over there, wherever there is. And boy, the more that I study and the more that I read, the more I get it, I don't think we have a freaking clue. Now, maybe that's why some spirits get lost here, and maybe they're here because they can see that and that looks far more worse than this here, and so they're going to stay here. All right. I appreciate y'all. To speak in favor over you, thank you for being part of it. Thank you for hitting the like button, and thank you for taking the day and a holiday out to listen. Always love to hear your thoughts. Let me know, and you know, it adds to the conversation. It's just so interesting. Brian says, I think we're better off right here, right now. I have a feeling you may be right on that. It's like, oh man, do we really want to go to the light? Don't go to the light, Carolyn. All right. Carol, you're welcome. Lucky Stone, I'm not scared of dying, and I really don't care if it's, yeah, that's a good one. I remember that back in the day. one of my first albums. All right, folks. Well, big hugs to you all. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll continue on this. Didn't the rules say technology was not in the angels and demons' power to deal with? It did. Twilight Traveler, absolutely it did. It's not just so square and, black and white, man. There's a lot of shades of gray in here. That's all I got to tell you. And little paisley colors, and having a good time. Eric, good to see you. Maria, good to see you, hon. All right, Bonnie, back at you, darling. Chloe, appreciate you too. All right, Michelle, how are you doing? So I will again see y'all tomorrow.